Hey you guys, I just thought I'd make a quick video with a few things about law of cosines maybe and the area stuff that you're going to cover today. The subnote said that the videos I had posted didn't help much, so let me just try to give you a couple examples. I hope that helps. Please shoot me emails if you still have some questions. I will definitely get back to you. All right, let's talk about law of cosines problems. Let's talk about if you're given three sides. A is 4, B is 3, C is 6. All right, so when you go to use law of cosines, when you have three sides, you obviously have to solve for one of the angles. You don't have anything opposite, so you can't use law of sines. So here's your rule of thumb. Remember, law of cosines will help you find the obtuse angle. So when I look at this, I would use law of cosines to find angle C. Because if anything of these three is going to be obtuse, it's going to be angle C, because it's opposite side C. So when I would solve this, I would say C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2 times A times B times the cosine of angle C. So when I write that, I just want to make sure that, I'm using, remember this side has to be opposite the angle that's over here, so that's why it's angle C. And I'm picking angle C because, again, if anything's going to be obtuse, it's going to be angle C. So I use my calculator. When you use your calculator, really what you want to do is you want to get rid of this, so you'll be subtracting 4 squared on each side. You'll be subtracting 3 squared on each side. You don't have to show me those steps, but that's really what you're going to do to undo those things. So on my calculator, I'm going to take 6 squared minus 4 squared minus 3 squared. I do all of that right on my calculator, and I get 11. Now again, I don't have to write that down. I will for you guys to see it, but you don't have to write that down, but that's what's on my calculator. And so what I do is I say, because sometimes even those numbers aren't real nice, I look at that and say, okay, now to solve for C, I'm going to divide by -2, I'm going to divide by 4, and I'm going to divide by 3. So I do all of that right on my calculator. So I subtracted the 4 squared, I subtracted the 3 squared on my calculator, I got 11. Now I'm going to start dividing to undo that. So I'm going to take the answer I have on my calculator, divide by -2, divide by 4, divide by 3. So I'm just dividing each time. I'm hitting enter so I don't forget that I have to divide by -2, divide by 4. So I just keep hitting enter, divide by 4, enter, divide by 3. So I get that's what the cosine is equal to, -4.583. Okay? Again, I don't need you to write that down, but that's really what you've got on your calculator, -0.4583. And so on. I mean, it goes on forever. And now I want to know what is that angle. So now I'm going to take second cosine of my answer. And I get angle C is an obtuse angle. I wouldn't have got that if I would have maybe used law of cosines to find angle B and then used law of sines. I may not have found that answer. So because law of cosines does find the obtuse angle, always if you're given three sides, solve for the obtuse angle. 117.3 if we go to the nearest tenth. Once you have angle C, now you can use law of cosines, and you can say the sine of 117.3 is to 6 as the sine of, now it doesn't matter because now you know you've got the obtuse angle already. So I'll say the sine of angle B is to 3, and I can solve for angle B. So again, how do I do that? I'm just going to cross multiply, or I'm just going to multiply by 3. So I'm going to take 3 times the sine of that answer, 3 sine of my answer, divide that by 6. So I get the sine of B is equal to 0.4444. So I hit second sine of my answer. 26.4 is what that rounds to. So B is 26.4. And then to find A, remember, I don't need to see the work. I needed to see this equation that use law of cosines. If you can do all of that on your calculator, that's fine. I need to find angle C. Show me that what you get for an answer. Show me the law of sines to find angle B. Show me your answer. And then to find A, I really don't need to see the arithmetic of that. You're just going to take 180, subtract 26.4, and subtract 117.3. And I get 36.3. So I don't need to see the math of that. but that's what I need to see for work. I just need to see the equation for the law of cosines. Find the biggest angle. That would be the best thing to do. Get your angle C, and then use law of sines. Show me that equation, and then what did you get for an answer, and then do your arithmetic. Okay, if you are given, let's say, two sides and an angle. Let's say you're given angle B is 49.3. You're given side A is 4.58. And you're given side C is 1. All right, so when you go to think about your triangle, again, I always have to draw a picture. And I say, all right, B is 49.3. Side C is 1. Side A is 4.58. So when I look at that, I say, okay, I can't use law of cosines. I have to use law of cosines. So I have to find side B. All right, so there's no choosing there. It's the only thing I can find. So I'm going to take 4.58 squared plus 1 squared minus 2 times 4.58 times 1 times the cosine of 49.3. Okay, so again, I can throw all of that on my calculator. I can take 4.58 squared plus 1 minus 2 times 4.58. I don't have to multiply by 1 times the cosine of 49.3. So I just typed all of that on my calculator. That's what b squared equals. And again, I didn't square the 1, but if 1 squared is 1, so I didn't put that in there. All right, and I get 16.00. b squared is 16.00. Take the square root of that, because that's what b squared is, so second square root of my answer, and I get 4.0. Obviously, we probably knew that without using our calculator. So b is 4. All right, now we have to use the law of sines, because now we have side b and angle b. And again, here's where we got to think a little bit about what side we want, what angle we want to solve for. So we're going to say the sine of 49.3 is to 4, because they go together, as, now I could say the sine of A is to 4.58, or I can say the sine of C is to 1. Now remember, I can't find obtuse angles with the law of sines. So when I look at which one I should solve for, which one of these could be obtuse? Well, the 4.58 is definitely bigger than the 1. So if anything's going to be obtuse, it's going to be angle A. So law of sines won't tell me if that's obtuse. So what I need to do is solve for angle C. Because if anything's going to be obtuse, it's going to be angle A, and law of sines won't find that. So I'm going to solve for angle C. So I'm going to say then the sine of angle C is to 1. And so if I multiply by 1, so all I really have to do is take the sine of 49.3 and divide that by 4. So all I did on my calculator is took the sine of 49.3 and divided by 4, and I got 0.1895. That's what the sine of C equals, so I take second sine of my answer. And I get the angle is 10.9 degrees. So if C is 10.9 degrees, angle B was 49.3, I definitely am going to have an obtuse angle for A. So if I take for A, again, I don't need to see the work, I just need to take 180, subtract 49.3, and subtract my angle I got, which was 10.9. And I get 119.8. And I wouldn't have found that with the law of sines. So again, when I'm working with law of cosines, this one I didn't really have a choice. I had to find side B. But once I found side B, I need to think about which one of these angles do I want to solve for next. Law of sines will not find that obtuse angle, which is opposite the biggest side. So then you want to use law of sines to find the middle angle, or the other angle, I guess, to make sure that you see that, okay, I don't know what that angle is, but I know it's got to be smaller than angle A. And that will make sure that you find the correct answers that all work out. Okay, so I think I'll end the video there, and I'll do another quick one on area if you need to see that. So I hope that helped.